Appalachia, legends whisper of unseen spirits, and don't forget to subscribe as we step deep into the misty woods to uncover what many refuse to talk about. Are they lost or something much darker? Let's take a look.
It scared me so bad, I cried like a baby. I was about 17 years old. That gorge has already got a vibe, man. It's already a spooky place, but this night, the road was covered in leaves. It was foggy. You got a mountain right here and a river right here, late at night, in a really deep, dark place. And that's when it happened. Bam! A man in a gray hood stepped out in front of my van. Right up over my hood, I pulled over, and I was already a basket case. So I started looking up and down the road, up and down the banks of the river, yelling and hollering, hello, hello. I can't find him. No matter what, I gotta go to town and report this. So I'm driving along, trying to make sense of what just happened. Maybe I hurt somebody really bad or worse. I'm feeling terrible. Is that going to bring an end to my freedom? I was afraid of that too. It happened again. Bam! I hit him. It went up over exactly the same as the first time. And I thought, oh, wow, the first one was a premonition, and this is the real event. The premonition was a warning. It's actually happened now. There was nobody. There was nobody anywhere. Hello, hello. No response. Either I'm losing my mind or something else is going on. I'm scared and I'm driving fast. I'm trying to make my way out of that gorge. And wouldn't you know it, it happened a third time out of nowhere, right in front of the van. Bam! I didn't even stop that time. I took off. I drove even faster. I went home and tried to sleep. But I couldn't sleep because what if? I was driving myself crazy thinking about that. Come daybreak, I went back out there, drove the whole length of the gorge and all the way back. There was no emergency vehicles. There was no yellow tape. There was no sign of any kind of disturbance of any sort whatsoever. I didn't talk about it. I kept my mouth shut. If you've heard of anything like that, let me know. Physical hit my van and make a noise kind of ghost? I don't know what that was. A haint? Was it a haint? That's a word we have here in Appalachia. Is one of them haints from the haunted hollers of Nantahala come to get you. It still scares me. It scared me real bad.
This is about the time I saw an apparition at my grandparents' vacation home in the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia. So when we were younger, my grandparents bought a vacation home, and we stayed in it a couple weeks out of the summer, sometimes 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks as a huge family. And then they would just visit like twice a year to go see family. My uncle would upkeep it, and we would just pop in and out throughout the year. It was a good time. It was a beautiful house. They had it for like 12 years, and they had to get rid of it because they're just not able to keep up with it, and it wasn't getting enough use. So this was probably the second year that they had that vacation home, and they strictly bought it because we had a huge family. Like, I have like 13 first cousins on my mom's side, so that thing was packed out, and it was a 3-bed, 2-bath house. I'll put pictures up here of the house so you can kind of get a lay of the land. So it's 2 stories. Downstairs, there's a living room and a kitchen area. There's a half bath and a little place we would play under the stairs. And when you go upstairs, there's 3 bedrooms. So there was one that sleeps 2. My aunt and uncle would usually stay there. Another that's the master bedroom. My grandparents would stay in there. And then the kids' bedroom had 3 bunk beds in it, and that wasn't enough. We would like double up on these bunks a lot. And I always picked the bunk bed by the window because I could see like the mountain at night, and it was just beautiful and really quiet and peaceful. And that was like my comfort place as a kid. So I would sleep on the top bunk of the bunk bed in that corner. Well, this was like the first or second year that we had gone to the house up there to stay. And we had all unpacked. It was like the first night. And my family, like when we settled down, we settled down. Like nobody's going in and out. We were all kids at that point. Nobody smokes. There's no cell service, so you're not making any calls. So once that front door shut, it stayed shut unless somebody forgot like their pew pew in the car or they needed to get medicine. Like we're pretty tame. So it was probably, I want to say after 12. And everybody was in bed, asleep. All the doors were shut except for the kids' room, which was left open. And the light in the hallway was left on so that the kids could kind of like get up and use the bathroom if they needed to, and we wouldn't be afraid. I've drawn a picture of what it looked like from my perspective on my little spot on the bunk bed. So if you can see this, this is like the edge of the bed. My head would be here. So I'd be looking. That's like my cousins and my brother's sleeping. There's another bunk bed here, and this is the doorway with the light on. You can see like that's the bathroom door, that's my grandparents' door, and then that's my aunt and uncle's room, and that's the top of the stairwell. So that's kind of what it looked like from my perspective when I woke up. For reference, I've always had trouble sleeping since I was little. It just does not come easy to me. I have frequently woken up at interim periods in the night and I'm just used to it and I just go right back to sleep. But I know when I'm awake and I know when I'm asleep. So I woke up that night and I was the only person awake in the house. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to sleep. So I like turned over and the light was kind of bothering me. So I was just kind of staring at it, looking around, waiting to go back to sleep. And then I heard the front door open, like hard, and then slam shut. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, is somebody mad? Was there an argument? That just doesn't happen. Like, my family doesn't do that stuff just willy-nilly. So I'm like kind of listening to see who it is. And then I hear somebody running up the stairs. And I have to draw this next part because I saw like a shadow on the bathroom door, right? This door, I saw this shadow like a head, and then I saw shoulders, and then I saw like a body. And I could just tell that it was a bald man wearing overalls, and it looked like he had no shirt. Let me draw kind of with my bad art skills what it kind of looked like. I literally got chills when I drew this. But that's kind of what I saw from where I was in the bed. And it wasn't stagnant. It was like literally like a person, as if a person was standing just out of my eyesight at the top of the stairs. And I'm like shaking. And he was like looking, like he was like dodging and like trying to look in the door. And he said in a very loud voice, "Who is that? I know you're in there. I can tell you're in there. Who is it?" I'm petrified with fear. I'm like gripping my blanket so tight. I don't want to speak. I feel like it's talking at me. And I'm wondering why nobody is awake and why nobody's hearing this. And I can't do anything. I'm just like scared, just staring at it. And he says again, like, "I know you're in there. I'm going to leave. And when I come back, you better be gone." And then the shadow like turns around and I watch it like walk out of view. And then I hear something really heavy like fall down the stairs. And then like a couple seconds later, I hear the front door open again and slam shut. And I was like, if I had to pee, I would have peed myself. Like I was so scared. And I like, as soon as that door shut and I like knew like the coast was clear, I like sat up and I had, I guess, a mini panic attack. I was just like, like breathing, like, and I didn't want to be alone. So my cousin's cousin was sharing the bed with me and I like turned around and I started shaking her and I'm like, please wake up, Cameron, please wake up. And then she like kind of like half wakes up and I like word vomit. I'm like, there was a person in the house. I don't know who it is. Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, whatever, back to sleep. And I'm alone again. And this is the craziest thing, but I was so scared to get out of that bed. There were like 5 adults in the house, but I was still so scared to get up or move or talk or make my presence known at all that I just sat there for like until I saw the sun come up, basically. And then I went back to sleep for a couple hours. And the next day I woke up and everybody's acting normal. And I was like, should I say something? And I was like, no, it just didn't feel like something about it didn't feel like, I don't know. I was so young. I don't know why I didn't say anything. So I I decided not to tell anybody what I had seen, but I went around and I asked all the adults, like, did you lock the front door last night? They all said yes. My uncle was the last person out, so I went to him and I said, hey, did you lock the door when you came back in last night? And he said, yes, I always lock it. I locked the deadbolt. And I was like, okay, I'm just not going to tell anyone what I saw because clearly I'm delusional or they're going to think I'm like being dramatic or asking for attention. So I didn't say anything to my family for years. Last year, I was at my grandparents' house and they had sold the house already. And we were sitting around the table just talking and they brought up how spooked out all the kids got from that house. And we were saying like, yeah, it was a creepy house. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell them that story because I've never shared it with, I think the only person that knows it is like my brother. So I told them the story and I told them a part of the story that I had never disclosed before. And as soon as I said it, I watched their faces like change and it was like as if they suddenly believed me. And I was like, what difference did that detail make? What I told them was the reason that I knew it wasn't anyone in my family was because the voice I heard was a black man. They said, like, the person that they bought the house from had died. He was a basketball coach and he was black. I didn't know that. Nobody in my family knew that as far as I know. I think they were the only two that knew. They don't know how he died. And that just like honestly brought me a little bit of comfort. I think what I saw wasn't like a random ghost like off this street. I think because we had just taken this man's home, he was telling me that like he didn't appreciate people being in his house. But I think also maybe it was just like a slip in time type thing, you know, where I don't know. I don't know. I have a few theories about it, but it definitely scared the crap out of me. And that's my story. I'd love to hear your take on it. You don't have to believe it. I know what I saw, and what I heard. And yeah, I got chills when my grandparents told me that. It definitely made it more real to me. And now I don't doubt that experience was something that actually happened.
And as somebody that grew up right in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains in a small town in Southwest Virginia, I feel like I had my fair share of weird experiences, hearing weird things, seeing weird things. I still, to this day, have no idea what I saw. And I'm just curious to see if anybody has any ideas, any explanations, if they've seen something like this. Please let me know. So, when I was like 16, 17, I would go running multiple times a week at the same spot. It was, the trail itself was pretty well known in our area, but this specific portion of it, like people would use like, most of the time use like sections of the trail, but like the whole trail itself was like 27 miles, so like, you know, there were portions that didn't get used as much. This was one of the very secluded spots that people weren't typically at. When I would go running, there were multiple days that I would not see a single person. And then if I did see people, it wasn't like tons of people. It was like onesies, twosies, you know? And so there was a few houses at the parking lot that I would always park in. But again, it was, I think, older, like, people that lived there, so they really weren't, like, out and about. And then the whole section that I ran, the only type of housing that was there were tree houses that would get, like, rented out for people for vacation. In the whole, you know, probably year that I went there to run, never saw people staying there, so I don't know if they just weren't very busy, if they weren't renting them out that year. I don't really know. But, long story short, not many people. So, no cell phone signal, by the way. No cell phone signal, secluded, not a lot of people. Terrible idea for a solo 16-year-old girl to be running there alone, but, you know, it was very pretty. So, anyway, one day me and my sister, she didn't normally go with me, but we went for a run. So I remember beautiful day out, warm, middle of the day, but nobody out there. So we, ran down. So I would always do the same thing. I would run from the parking lot, down to this, like, it was this long, people call them trestles, it's just a bridge, basically, and it was, this really long bridge. I would run to it, turn around there, run back, and altogether it was like 1.5 miles. So I'd go like a mile into like that kind of secluded area. And so we went for a run, and on the way there, I remember like nothing that I saw was out of the ordinary. Nothing was weird, nothing scary, whatever. On the way back though, you know when you get that feeling and you're like, something's weird, something's off. And I got that feeling multiple times while I was there. I have other stories of things I saw, but this one I think was like the weirdest. We round the corner to go down the long, like, straight stretch back to our car, and like we're still pretty far from the parking lot. Like, you can see the opening through the trees of like where it is, but like you could not see your car yet from there. And so we start walking, and we're walking back, and I'm on the left side, she's on the right side, and on the left side, it was a steep, like, embankment down to the river. Like, there was nothing there. On the other side, it was a steep hill up. And, again, like, nothing up there. It was all woods, forest, like, that was pretty much it. Like, there were no houses back there. There was nothing to go to back there. And so, I remember we were just chatting, whatever, and out of the corner of my eye, I, like, saw something, and it, like, grabbed my attention, and I look up, and there are multiple, like, 4 to 5 large white sheets, I guess, flat sheets, square pieces of white solid cloth, I guess tied from, clothing lines, but they were between the trees, and they were kind of, like, spread out, like, they were in the same general area, but they weren't, like, all, like, in like a row. Like, some of them were, you know, tied like this way, some might have been like this way, but like in a pretty general area, but like in the middle of the hill. So not up at the top, not down at the bottom. Somebody would have had to like climb up through all of these like roots and trees and plants and stuff and tie up clotheslines, hang these large, like they were big, white sheets up, and then be gone. In the time that me and my sister went past there and then came back. And keep in mind, did not see a single person while we were out. And I saw them, and I just remember my stomach dropped. And my first thought was, do not let Morgan, that's my sister, do not let Morgan see them. I don't know why. I guess, like, I didn't want her to be scared. And I was kind of worried that, you know, maybe she would, like, freak out. And I was like, the last thing we need is, like, if there is somebody out here, like, drawing attention to ourselves, you know, like, 2 young teenagers, like, out by ourselves, like, it's like this whole situation just felt super off. So I was trying to keep her talking while also, like, looking up there to kind of see, like, what was going on. I was honestly super scared that I was gonna, like, see somebody or something behind one of them, but I didn't, as far as I could tell. But again, like, some of them were so long, I don't think I could have seen behind them anyway. I probably would have seen, like, maybe, because they were white, so maybe you could have kind of seen through it if there was somebody there. I really don't know. Don't know how, like, thick they were, but they were, like, kind of floating in the wind, like, billowing. Yeah, so we went past them. Nobody. There was nobody out there. I didn't hear anything. Don't know why they would have just been on the middle of this hill. Like, I still to this day have no idea. I did, you know, end up going back there to run. Don't know. And when I would go back, never saw them again. Never happened again. They were gone. No clotheslines hanging up. Nothing. And everybody that I've told that story to has no clue.
If you've ever felt watched or seen something just beyond the light, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, stay safe, stay aware, and question everything.